Happy Thursday. Welcome into our Sports Burst Studios. controVARsy strikes again as Real Madrid reclaim top spot on the LaLiga table. We dissect Los Blancos' 2-0 win over Mallorca with a look at that latest controversy and Sergio Ramos' insane free kick and Zinedine Zidane's surprise starting 11. And match day 31 ends today with Eibar, Valencia, Real Betis, and Espanyol all in action. Plus, can Chelsea kickstart the Liverpool party as they take on Man City in a match that could crown Jurgen Klopp's men champs of the Premier League? Sports Burst starts right now. Hey there again. This is a reminder that this show is interactive, guys. Drop us a comment. Let us know if you are Team PK or Team Sergio Ramos in the VAR drama talk, and we'll get to those in just a bit. On the network today, Eibar taking on Valencia and Real Betis taking on Espanyol on both the beIN Sports English channel and beIN Sports en Espanyol. You guys definitely won't want to miss that. Huge relegation battles in both of those matches. And on the beIN Extra channel today, Segunda División action on our free of charge network. Yep, that's right. No fees, no strings, no contracts. Catch that channel on Samsung TV, Pluto TV, amongst others. And for more info, check out beinsportsextra.com. And the time has come to welcome in my guest, Thomas Rongen, who is joining us virtually from home. Hello, Thomas. How are you?
Good, Gab. I'm doing fine. We're picking up on some of the preview shows we've done in the last few days. So happy to be back with you on Sports Burst.
Yes, and some of those preview shows, we're going to do a bit of a post show today because I want to begin with Real Madrid's 2-0 win over Mallorca last night. So much to dissect. Let's take it from the top and we'll go all the way through the match. I want to begin with Zinedine Zidane's starting 11. A lot of surprises in this one. He went with a very attack-minded 11, starting the BBVH, Bale, Benzema, Hazard, and Vinicius, all in the lineup, Thomas. Then, of course, Casemiro was suspended for this one. He decided to go with the Valverde-Modric pairing, substitute Mendy in for Marcelo to give maybe a little bit more of defensive solidity at back, and Sergio Ramos, who was in doubt because of the knock that he had picked up against Real Sociedad. He did start. What do you make of Zinedine Zidane, who never ceases to surprise us?
No, he certainly doesn't. But in terms of a surprise, it's not. I've mentioned that a lot of times. I've not given him the Zizou rotation Zidane name, but in 178 starts, he used 178, combinations, different combinations in 202 games that he's coached under Madrid. And that's absolutely brilliant. It means you have a deep squad that he can reach through 18. Big advantage over Barcelona, for instance. You keep players fresh. You keep players mentally in tune as well, because they know at any given day, look at James, had not played for 247 days. All of a sudden, he gets to start. Bale, we all thought, he's done. Didn't get off the bench. In the pecking order, he looked. All of a sudden, he gets to start as well. So, not as much as surprised that he always shows different starting 11s, which, by the way, a surprise to us, but the opponents have no idea how to tactically prepare against a Real Madrid team that almost each and every game comes with a different 11 and at times a different tactic as well. And if you look at his great years, when he won the Champions League, he peaked at the right time. He focused at the Champions League. And during LaLiga season, he rotated all the time. And so, again, it's not a surprise to me. He's now adjusting to a short season, which it is. You play every third game. So in order to keep teams fresh and players fresh and motivated mentally, he's pushing all the right buttons. But there's always 2, 3, or 4 guys that he relies on. And that's his spine. Courtois, Ramos, and Varane right now are starting almost every game. He gave Casemiro a rest, but Benzema as well. So down the middle, he has always, in that axis, he always has 3 or 4 players that play all the time and allows players around them, be it Mendy, be it, as I said again, Hazard in a different position, be it Vinny, be it Rodrigo, to be able to rely on that axis to perform well, which they've done obviously throughout this. His man management skill, again, outstanding.
He does have a knack to keep everyone happy in the rotation. Mo Sadi saying Zidane, king of rotations. Jude Patrick Alexis saying Ramos had a great free kick, but his follow-through was terrible. Laughing emoji. You guys continue to let us know what you think about that controversial call. Dani Carvajal clashing with Danny Rodriguez. We're going to take a closer look at that in just a couple minutes. But you spoke about Gareth Bale, who got his first start since February. A rare start for Gareth. In the match previous to this against Real Sociedad, Zinedine Zidane decided to start James. Two men who haven't been seeing much playing time. Zinedine Zidane gives each of them the opportunity to step up, the start, and I tend to think that neither one really made the most of it. What's your take on James' start and now Gareth Bale's?
Yeah, that's a good point, Gab. They both underperformed. Gareth underperformed when he came off the bench. The game before, he underperformed again when he started. If I give ratings 1 through 10, I give him a 4.5, 5 max. Didn't make any impact on the game. Worked hard, helped out defensively, which is fine, but you expect Gareth Bale in that final third to showcase talents that we've seen now of 2 or 3 other guys that are clearly ahead of him. Look at the difference between Vinny and Gareth Bale in terms of age, but more so in terms of how they play. And Gareth Bale has proven in the past that he can collect the ball and run at people. He rarely does that anymore. Vinny just goes straight at people, creates mismatches, uncomfortable situations for defender, and Gareth Bale right now is just fading into oblivion. But the mere fact that Zidane gave him another opportunity shows you again that he still believes that Bale could make a difference. And that Bale may be off the bench in a big game, which he's proven in the past, can still play a role for Mr. Zidane, whereas James right now absolutely has no impact. And James is also not a guy that you want to bring off the bench, because from an emotional standpoint, he's just not a good reserve, a good substitute to come off the bench to make a difference. I say Asensio is ahead of him if you bring him off the bench, which he showed obviously not the last game, but the game before. So it will be a tough few months coming up for Bale and James to make an impact on the starting 11 or even as substitutes.
Right, spot on, Thomas. Steve Biambi in our comment section saying Bale and James just proving Zidane right. I tend to agree with you, Steve. A lot of people speaking about Sergio Ramos. I want to get to this comment by, who was it here? Because it was Lance Pimentel. Ramos is arguably the best player in the world. Wow. Name another player that can play in any position and still be one of the best on the pitch. Ronaldo and Messi, greatest goal scorers, but put them at defense and they will get smoked. We are seeing a sensational season by Sergio Ramos. He is their designated penalty kick taker. We saw him score that stunning free kick. He is not only their captain, not only their leader, but they're, just like you said, key to their the best defense in La Liga this season. I want to play stock up, stock down with you. Here we are seeing Sergio Ramos and the impact that he's making, and we're not just talking about his beard and that new hairstyle. Thomas, stock up, stock down. Sergio Ramos has got to be number 1 on the stock up list, no?
Without a doubt. If Real Madrid wins La Liga and you have to pick an MVP, I put him ahead of Messi right now. What he's done for his team is pretty incredible. Not only he gives you 8 goals, by the way, which is as many as Griezmann. That tells you something. That the best defense in La Liga. That tells you something, because he's a center back, obviously, that ventures forward sometimes, scores goals out of open play, scores penalties, scores now of set pieces. I mean, how many players do you see in those positions taking these crucial dead ball situations? Trent Alexander scored, by the way, of a free kick for Liverpool. It looks like the defenders right now are taking over. It's not more the number 10s that do it, and Ramos has been the heart and soul of his team. And more so, he probably easily could have taken a day off, Gab.
Right.
After he got a big knock on his knee, which is very painful. I've been there and done that. It would be swollen. Nothing serious, but just the working through a threshold of pain that shows you what kind of player, what kind of captain, and what kind of leader he's been on the field, and his statistics outside of that speak volumes as well.
Yeah, and you're spot on. And we have thrown up your Real Madrid stock watch. You have put up 3 players, Vinicius, Fede Valverde, and Hazard, the 3 that you think their stock has risen since the restart. I could not agree more with you on Vinny. He really has turned a new leaf. We're seeing maybe what we didn't see at the beginning. Yes, his finishing needs work, but he is so electric on the field. He is such a danger to opposition that it's exactly what Real Madrid need, and no other player on the team really provides what Vinny does. Would you agree, Thomas?
Absolutely. After a tireless display against Real Sociedad, where he draws the penalty, you can argue it might not have been, but the mere fact, and I talked about Gareth Bale not getting in those situations anymore, the mere fact that he drives at a back 4, that he wants to take people on, that he wants to be daring for his age, and he knows he's going to make some mistakes, but Zidane has said, that's your strength, go for it, son. And then he follows up with another brilliant game thereafter, which was the last game where he scores this great goal. This kid is now the total opposite what we expected from Bale at a very young age. Zidane believes in him, and as I said again, after the restart, he's one of my 3 picks, being Valverde, the second one, and Valverde showed again that he can play in multiple positions. There's no depth after Casemiro, but Casemiro needed a breather. So who puts we in there? Valverde. You need a number 6? There he is. You need a number 8? We'll play Valverde. You need to play him out wide in a 4-4-2, which he did the other day, and assists on a Benzema goal. This young kid, we're talking about 2 young kids right now, Vinny and Valverde, their stock has gone up since the restart as well. And I'm going to my last one, which is Hazard. We didn't know, just like Luis Suarez, long-term injuries. And he's looked so much better, by the way, than Luis Suarez. His sharpness is back. Zidane, I can play him as a number 10 underneath. Wasn't his best game, but out wide, he's so dangerous still. And his combination and feeling with Benz right now is off the chart. So those are my 3 players that clearly stock have risen.
Yeah, and I think you just hit the nail on the head. The chemistry that he has, not only with Benzema, but even yesterday with Vinicius, the 3 of them just link up so well. Bale really did seem like the oddball out. Now, of course, it was a rarity to see all 4 of them in the 11 together. But Hazard, and I would add Luka Modric to that list, too. He stepped in yesterday in the wake of Casemiro not being available, and he really was one of the key men on the pitch against Mallorca. So Luka Modric also. Your stock down players, obviously Bale and James have to be on your list, Thomas. And there they are, yes.
Yeah, we talked about both of those already. They've missed their opportunity, whereas Vinny took his opportunity, Hazard took his opportunity, Valverde took his opportunity when he gets the chances to perform as a starter or as a substitute. Bale hasn't. And there's obvious reasons for that. I don't think he's mentally really in tune. We talked about Isco being the last one for me. First, I don't like long hair at Real Madrid, so that's one. But Isco's tenure under Zidane is pretty much summed up what you see right now. Injured sometimes, not sharp the other times, some off-the-field issues. Every time when he gets an opportunity, he can't really grab it by the bull by the horns. So it's been really disappointed. And I think one of the reasons why Zidane is looking at 4, 5, or 6 guys in starting roles and substitutions, when it gets down to the nitty-gritty and he has to pick his best 11 to win something, he probably is not going to look at Isco. He's not going to look at Bale under those circumstances, and he's not going to look at James.
Right, spot on. And in our comment section saying that Modric isn't available for the next match, you're absolutely right. Just like Casemiro was suspended for this last one because of yellow card accumulation, Real Madrid are without Luka Modric and Mendy for their trip to Espanyol, so something to keep in mind. I want to get to the drama, though. A lot of people in our comment section speaking about the VAR calls, the controVARsy. So let's go there, Thomas. Vinicius' goal yesterday before the play, to kickstart the play, Dani Carvajal clashes with Danny Rodriguez. Fede Valverde then sends the ball to Luka Modric, who then sets up Vinny for the beautiful chip finish. Should this goal have counted, or should it have been brought back because of that challenge from Carvajal on Dani Rodriguez?
Absolutely not. I can't even fathom it went to VAR. This is when I played, that was just a hard shoulder to shoulder, basically, at the end of the day. And it seems like in 2020, that's also now being looked at. So this is not controversial. This was not a 50-50, again, in my opinion. And this goal stood after VAR looked at it. So to me, let's move on. There were other decisions for both Barca and Real Madrid that were way more controversial. Obviously, this one I wouldn't even put on the list of controversy, so to speak.
Oh, wow. So there you go. Thomas Rongen doesn't think there's really anything to discuss. Twitter definitely disagrees with you, Thomas, because they were alight yesterday at this goal having stood. Of course, Sergio Ramos did make it 2-0, so it's not like this was the match winner, but obviously getting a goal, Mallorca were very much still alive in the match, so it does change the dynamic of the match. You spoke about decisions going both ways, and that's where I want to go next, because in our comment section, they are speaking about maybe Lionel Messi, the birthday boy who turned 33 yesterday, getting away with having potentially seen red himself. This moment against Athletic Club, cleats up on Yeray Alvarez. This is a nasty one. And VAR, I think, should have intervened here because it's a dangerous play. What do you think, Thomas?
Absolutely. Let's be real honest. He avoided punishment against Sevilla.
Correct.
I mean, letter of the law, the push against Carlos is a red card. We go to the next game, and Messi should have gotten at least a yellow, maybe even a red card, because you're absolutely right. Yeray slid in to clear danger. Messi could have easily jumped over him, avoided him, but rather jumped up in the air, cleats down, and made contact with this player, which is absolutely a dangerous play and a play that warrants a card. Is it a red card? Again, I'm an old school guy, I say no. But in both cases, he walks away with what I consider offenses that could have both been. One should have been a red card, the other one could have been a red card. So that makes the Carvajal shoulder push, to me, a non-issue. So, you know, his reputation precedes you. If it's Ramos in those situations, does he get a red card? I think he will. Does Messi's statue within the league help him? No doubt, but he's not the only one. That happens in every league in the world. I had Carlos Valderrama play for me, and Carlos Valderrama got away with more than other players. I played with Nene Cubillas, Gerd Muller, and they were protected to a certain extent by referees as well, because those players did not have a reputation year in, year out that they sometimes are nasty guys. And referees before games are instructed to look at serial offenders. And that could be anybody that picks up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 yellows and 1 or 2 red cards each and every year. And those guys get punished harder than the guys that don't.
This was a spicy conversation that we had yesterday on the wrap-up show between Andres Cordero and Gary Bailey. You guys can check out that moment on our Twitter page. But yeah, Gary Bailey was very much in agreement with you in that specific players do get preferential treatment. And if the roles are reversed, if it's someone pushing a Lionel Messi and there's hands to the face, if it's someone going cleats up on Lionel Messi, the card is given. But because it was reversed, the decision was not made. And you agree with that then? You do think that there is preferential treatment, and based on your experience, you've seen it yourself.
No doubt about it. I was very fortunate as a marginal player to play with some of the best in the world. And a lot of times the best in the world, I mean technical players, attacking players that are not known to be vicious, that are not known to have to tackle each and every game like defenders do, or holding midfielders that get more in those situations, that get more yellows and reds. And in most cases, right, but also it creates a reputation for a player throughout his career. And Messi's only had 2 red cards in his career, both for Argentina, by the way, one off the field when he criticized the referees. So Messi's not known. So when something like this happens, he does get the benefit of the doubt, like most other great players in the history of the game, be it Cruyff, whomever, have gotten the benefit of the doubt in those situations, whereas the serial offenders like Ramos, unfortunately, will not get that leeway from the referees.
A lot of people in our comment section obviously heavily debating this topic, but the reality is that we're putting a magnifying glass on all of these moments because we are in the final stretch of the season, because every single goal, every single point counts, and because we are in the era of VAR, and perhaps these things do need to be overlooked. And it is the spicy conversation that I love to have here on Sports First. Anywho, speaking of history, a historic day yesterday in LaLiga Santander because Luca Romero, the Mexican Messi, they dub him, the man born in Mexico, has Spanish citizenship and also has Argentine citizenship. He debuted in La Liga Santander for Mallorca, becoming the youngest player ever to debut in La Liga. This moment here, Vicente Moreno exchanging words with, he's just so young. And he did say, Vicente Moreno, the Mallorca manager, that he was trying to calm him down, but that he felt his heart racing. Thomas, what is this young man feeling in this moment, coming on against Real Madrid?
Well, it's special. I have debuted some young players as well, be it Freddie Adu at age 14 at the Under-20 World Cup, stepping on the field against Argentina, who at that time had Tevez, Mascherano in the lineup. And here's Freddie Adu going up against guys that are 4 or 5 years older than him. And the reason why I brought him in is because he proved in practice, in games for the Under-21 team, or the second team, so to speak, that he belongs. And when you belong, age doesn't matter. If you're mentally prepared, and that's very important, this player seems to be. Freddie Adu, we thought was prepared, but he was not. And his career obviously went down. Luca Giorena, although 2 years older, still getting games in the UCL against PSG, getting an assist in a start for Dortmund. But 15 is clearly very young. I saw him play actually in 2019, representing Argentina at the Under-15 World Cup in Paraguay, and he was special. And there's still a debate, will he play for Mexico, will he play for Argentina? He's not going to play for Spain apparently, but as a coach, you just say to him, you know what, relax, take in the moment, and enjoy the game, have fun. We rarely say that to players anymore, in particular to the big stars. You don't tell Messi to have fun or Ramos, but this kid needs to have fun in order for him to furtherly develop and not have a negative, because that's the hardest part. You want to put a player in a position at that age where he can succeed. And the few touches he had, he did succeed because his coach allowed him some tranquility to get into the game, and that's absolutely brilliant. The future is bright. Is he going to be a huge star? Only time will tell.
Yeah, it is. It is a situation where only time will tell. But 15 years and 219 days, he breaks an 80-year record in La Liga Santander, and he is officially the youngest ever debutant in the Spanish top flight. And speaking of the Spanish top flight, we have more partidazos today. Round 31, match day 31 ends today. The first match of the day, Eibar taking on Valencia. With a win for Eibar, they will definitely be on the road to securing their safety, and maybe they'll pretty much call it done and dusted for the teams currently in the relegation zone, Espanyol being the other one, who are also in action today against the Real Betis with a new manager. Which of these two matches are you most looking forward to, Thomas?
Really the second one. You know, you got Betis now, just made a change with Ruby. You got an interim coach. They don't have a lot to play for, those players. They're not looking at the interim coach saying he's going to be the head coach, because probably that's not going to be the fact. This is a great opportunity and a glimmer of hope for Espanyol. Listen, both teams have exciting players to watch. And I see this game going to a 2-1, 2-2 situation. Obviously, Espanyol needs the 3 points desperately. Both teams have some attacking players that can really make a difference. So that's the game I'm looking for. A desperate Espanyol against a team that has made a change, that might be not as motivated as Espanyol that is desperate for 3 points.
Yeah, just to give everyone a little bit more context, Ruby was sacked. Alexis Trujillo, the sporting director for Real Betis, is the interim manager, and an Espanyol team who have picked up 4 points out of 9 are doing well. They are dead last, bottom of the table, but they could very well walk away with a result here, so a must-watch match. Let's end the show on a Premier League note. If Manchester City drops points today against Chelsea, Liverpool will be champions. Liverpool walking away with a 4-0 win against Crystal Palace yesterday. A very dominant performance, I would say. Thomas, do you think it happens today?
Yeah, after their 0-0 first game after the restart, Jurgen Klopp came out, and this was one of the best games he's seen. And he talked about the gegenpress. This was the best gegenpress we've seen in this Liverpool. They clicked on all cylinders, and yeah, it's just a matter of time before they win the championship. But what a game, what a team. And after 30 years, Anfield, Liverpool can finally rejoice.
And on that note, we say ciao, ciao. Thank you so much for joining us on this latest edition of Sports Burst. Tune in to beIN for LaLiga action. Bye.